off this one. This is meant for me. This is for the book girlies, truly. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Brooklyn, and for today's video I thought it would be fun if I went through all of the books on my physical TBR. As I've mentioned in past videos, my parents are planning to move, so every book that I've read is either boxed or packed away. So all of these books on my bookshelf currently are mixed between ones that I've read and then basically my physical TBR. So I wanted to go through all these books that I have on my TBR, kind of talk about them, maybe see where I'm at with wanting to read them, just kind of my thoughts or what's making me not want to read them. And if you guys have read any of these books, I'd love if you could like influence or de-influence me in the comments to read certain ones. I definitely don't want to waste any time reading books that aren't good, especially if they're overhyped. So that's kind of why I want to go through all these, see what I have, and just kind of have like a final count of everything. So without further ado, let's get into all the books that I have on my physical TBR. So the first thing I want to do is probably take all of these off of my shelf. As counterproductive as that's going to be, I kind of want to do them by genre. I think that'll be the easiest thing. Let's take all these books off of the shelf, and then I will chat with you guys on the floor. So I have all my books taken off my bookshelf. Only the ones that I've read are left on there. So I've divided my books into different genres: romance, fantasy / dystopian, and then I have YA, and then like mystery thriller. So the first pile I want to go over is my romance pile. It's obviously the highest pile. So the first one I have is Nothing Like the Movies by Lynn Painter. This is the second book to Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. It's a YA romance, and I really love the first book, so I am really excited to read this one. I just haven't gotten around to it. The next one is The Legacy by Elle Kennedy. This is the last book in the Off-Campus series. It's basically a compilation of novellas for the four couples following just kind of like their lives, probably post-college, and their relationships, just to see how they're doing. Probably like extended epilogues, honestly. I did start this, and this is also on Kindle Unlimited, but I was just kind of bored with it, but I really want to finish it just so I can say I completed that whole series. I heard people say that Garrett in this one isn't the same Garrett as he was in his book, and that makes me sad because I love Garrett. We have another Elle Kennedy, which is The Graham Effect. This is a new series. I don't know what she's calling this series. I believe there's The Dixon Rule and then The Charlie Effect or something. No, because that's the same. It's something Charlie. Anyways, this is the first book of it, and I've heard this one's really good. This follows Garrett and Hannah's daughter, and then Ryder is the MMC in this, and he's kind of like outside of that. I believe this one's on my 25 for 2025, so I will get around to it if I pull it out of my jar for my TikTok series. Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. This is the first book, and I think it's called Part of Your World. Like it's not like a series, but they're kind of interconnected, I believe, and you can read them in like a specific order, but you can also read them out of order, but I kind of want to read them in order. I definitely want to get into her books. I've yet to read a Abby Jimenez book, and I'm very excited to read this one. And once again, this is in my 25 for 2025, so I'm waiting until I pull this book from the jar. Twisted Hate by Anna Wong. This is the fourth book, I believe. No, this is book 3 in the Twisted series. I read these out of order on accident. I don't know how that ended up happening, but I guess I really wanted to read the fourth book before this one. I don't know. I don't really care for the Twisted series that much. It wasn't my favorite writing and storylines. I think the only one I really liked was Twisted Games, I think it was, with Reese and I can't remember her name, the princess. I thought that was the best one out of all of them so far. They're like, okay, they're kind of like palate cleanser books, but also they're just, to me, the most insane plot points ever. Twisted Love was just like everywhere and nothing at once, so definitely not on my immediate TBR, but it's there because I want to finish the series. A Funny Story by Emily Henry. I absolutely love Emily Henry's writing. I've read a good chunk of her books so far. I only have 2 of them that I've yet to read, and this is one of them. I feel like I've heard split reviews for this one. I feel like people either really like this or really don't. I think this one's definitely less of her like women's fiction style of writing and more of that rom-com-y vibe, and people are saying it's like New Girl, so I think this would be a really fun one. Happy Place by Emily Henry. I've also heard, once again, great things about this one. I wanted to read this in the summer, and obviously it's fall time, so I didn't really get around to it. I think it depends. Like, I obviously will reach for this during the fall or winter if it is like incorporated in video or something, but I think summertime would be the best time for this, but I also don't want to put off reading this because I've heard, once again, amazing things about this one. I definitely want to try and complete all of Emily Henry's books that are out right now and then see what my final rankings are for that, because I think that'd be really fun. We have a new addition to the TBR, which is Mate by Ali Hazelwood. I recently bought this one in the Prep for Fall with Me video that I just posted, and I'm so excited to read this. I love Ali Hazelwood. If there's one thing you're gonna walk away from this channel and from watching my videos, is that I love Ali Hazelwood. Deep End is my favorite book, probably my book of the year. I read it in April and I am not over it. She is by far one of my favorite authors. She was like one of the first few books that I read that really got me into reading, which was like Love Hypothesis and Love Theoretically. I am very excited for this. I read Bride in April. Wait, when did Deep End come out? February? Hold on, let me look at my book journal. I can't remember when Deep End came out. I feel like, oh, February. So I read Deep End in February and then I read Bride in April, which is insane insane. The fact that I love how she comes out with books so fast. Like, it's so good. Also, April felt like it was yesterday. Like, I felt like I read Bride yesterday, but I didn't. So I'm very excited for this one because she set the characters up in the first book for this one, and it's kind of interconnected. I've heard amazing things once again. People on TikTok are obsessed with it. Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. This is another book that I put on my 25 for 2025, so I will get around to it hopefully before the year ends. One thing I will never get over are these covers that they changed. I think the original covers, I'm pretty sure they're like the indie covers, so much better than these. These ones are cute and fun, and I know this is kind of like giving Gossip Girl, New York City, high rich lifestyle, like that type of vibe here. A lot of drama in this one. I think I've also seen split reviews for this book as well. People either really like it or really don't like it. The Night Shift, this one has popped up in a couple of videos for consider reading, I guess kind of like as a palate cleanser. This is from Annie Crown. This is a Wattpad original, so that's kind of why I'm hesitant about reading this one. It's on Kindle Unlimited, I'm pretty sure too, and I feel like this would be just like a palate cleansing one. But when I read the back of this for the 24-hour reading challenge, the back just made me, it just cringed me kind of, so I don't know. Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. This one's like a little one that I ordered off Amazon after I watched the Pride and Prejudice movie. I think it's like the second one. You know what one I'm talking about. And I was like, wait, I love this. Like, I'd never seen it before, and it was the first time watching the movie, and I absolutely fell in love with like the whole plot line. I'm like, this is meant for me. This is for the book girlies. Truly, this movie is. So then I was like, surely the book's gonna be good. And then I get it, and I'm like, you know what? I haven't gone around to it because people have said that they felt dumb while reading this, obviously because Jane Austen is like an older author. This is a classic. That's what I'm trying to get at, I guess. I just don't want to feel dumb while reading this. The Ritual by Chantal Tessier. I don't know how to say her last name. This one is also a very big series. I'm pretty sure my friend said she read this and she said it was absolutely insane. This is a dark romance. I do not know if I want to read this one. This will be one like, please tell me if I should read this or get rid of it. I don't know if I like the premise of this. It says she is to serve and obey him. He will protect and own her. Like, I don't know if I'm down for that, but it is a dark romance, you know? So yeah, dark college romance. Literally don't know why I bought this one. I ordered this off Amazon during like the Prime sale, and I ordered a whole bunch of books, and I thought my friend said she read it and she never did. And I was like, wait, I thought you said this was good. And she's like, I never read that. I'm like, where did I find this one? Finding 13 by Chloe Walsh. I know this one's like considered romance, but I also know that it's also very, I want to say like traumatic or sad, or just has like a lot of trigger warnings maybe in this. So it's not all rainbows and sunshine. I know that the series can be very hard to read and very deep and emotional, but I have this one on my 25 for 2025. Once again, mixed opinions about this one. I've heard my like book buddy May, who read this, said she really liked the series. She read the series in like a week. These are also on Kindle Unlimited if I'm not mistaken. We will get to this eventually if I pull it from my jar for the 25 for 2025. I'm excited for this. I've seen a lot of TikToks about these couples in these books, and I'm ready for it. And also the cover's really pretty. I like these. The next three are the final three books that I have to read in the Windy City series by Liz Tom Ford. The first one is Caught Up. The second is Play Along. And then we have Rewind It Back, which is like the newest release. I also scrambled to buy these because these are like the indie versions, and I hate the new covers. The traditionally published, and do not like them. I had to really get these. Her books take a while for me to get through because I feel like the last 100 pages are very unnecessary and we kind of lose the plot. That's why I'm always hesitant to reach for these. These are also on Kindle Unlimited, so that's like a plus for this, that I know these are really good, and that's why I'm mentally trying to encourage myself to read them. My leg's going numb. I recently bought this one too in my fall video, Leather and Lark by Bryn Weaver. I read Butcher and Blackbird for my 24-hour reading challenge, and I love that book. It was so like palate cleanser. It was like a dark comedic romance, and I'm pretty sure that's how the rest of the books will be in this trilogy. I'm assuming because that's her writing style. We were introduced to these characters in the first book because I'm pretty sure it follows the brothers that are in this book. So this is Lachlan's book. The final romance that I have is Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. I have read one other Lucy Score book, and that was, oh my gosh, I can see the cover so clearly. It's the one with the dress. I'll put it on the screen. I really like that one. It was definitely longer, but it was a slow burn. I remember really enjoying that. This is the Knock 'Em Out series. Trilogy or series? Because I know there's a blue one, pink one, and a purple one. I want to say trilogy. Anyways, so this is the first book. Next, I'm gonna go into my YA books now. So these are definitely like a mix of, I would say like genres, but I'm just gonna put these all in YA and just leave it there. First one that I have is They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. I've had this one on my bookshelf for a while. I think this was my sister. She gave it to me. She never read it. I haven't read it. I know this one was really popular on Book Talk when it was like blowing up in 2020. I don't know if I want to read this. I've seen like mixed reviews about this, so please tell me if you've read this, if you like this, if I should read it, or if I should just kind of like get rid of it, because I don't know if it was just like hyped up at the time, because I'm not like drawn to read this, so I might unhaul this one. We'll see. I feel like the concept's interesting. I just don't know if it's good. good. This one's been on my bookshelf for the longest time. Middle school long. The Giver by Lois Lowry. I remember reading The Giver and watching the movie in 7th grade. I loved it. It was like my favorite thing. I love the movie. It's just such a good movie. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. But I also wanted to reread the book because the way that this book ended, or I guess the movie too, it was very open-ended, and for the interpretation of the viewer or reader to kind of like decide how it ended, and I hated that. I hated that, so then I begged my dad to go to the bookstore and buy me all the other books in this series to try and find an answer potentially for what happened. And I don't know if it reveals what happened to the main characters in the books because I feel like they follow different ones. Girl in Pieces by Kathleen Glasgow, if I'm saying that correct. Sorry if I'm not. On the back it says like haunting, beautiful, and necessary book that will stay with you longer after you read the last page. So I do love a book that kind of destroys you and makes you really sad. I can't remember when I got this book or how this ended up on my bookshelf, let alone like heard anything about this, but I have seen people say that this is one of their favorites on like just random TikTok videos. So the next one is a duology, If I Stay and Where She Went by Gail Foreman. I remember watching the movie when I was in middle school, I think. That was the first time I ever truly became emo from a movie at like a young age too, and just trying to like process the idea of death, and just it was so sad to me. It just affected me and it lasted with me. I don't know where I got these books either. I think I got these when I was at my first college at Michigan State because I had like credit at the bookstore and I was just buying books with it, and it was like the best thing ever. Because on the back here it says these were 99 cents. So that is a steal if I've ever seen one. They're probably the original covers. I don't know if they've changed them. I only watched the first movie. I don't know if they came out with the second one, and the first one obviously ended with a cliffhanger, so that's the answers for this one. Sad book, sad concepts. The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the first book in, I'm assuming it's called the Natural series. I want to say like 3 other books are after this one. I love Jennifer Lynn Barnes' writing. I really enjoy the Inheritance Game series. So this is the next one I want to start from her. It's about these teens who are FBI agents or like similar to that status because they're all super smart and they try solving cases. Like that's just like the bare bones of what I know about this one. It's giving like Criminal Minds almost. That's what I've heard. I think these are also on Kindle Unlimited. And the final book, as I mentioned, Jennifer Lynn Barnes, The Brothers Hawthorne. This is like, I'm considering the final book that I'm considering in the Inheritance Game series. I don't really like how the last one ended, if I'm going to be so honest. I did not like how the final gambit ended, so I'm not really itching to reach for this one and read it. Love the covers of these though. That's one thing Jennifer Lynn Barnes knows how to do is her covers. They're so fun. These next ones, I didn't really know where to put them because they're like a mix of stuff because I have a nonfiction, a fiction, and then I would say like a fiction or like coming of age book potentially. Stephen King, The Body. This is like a short novella. It's based off of, or a movie was adapted into it. What is the movie? So it was adapted into the film Stand By Me, and it follows like friendship, that type of stuff, but there's also like a murder mystery I believe in this, but it's more about friendship. I like Stephen King's writing. I read The Outsider and it was an okay book. I think it's just long and it kind of lost my interest eventually, so I'm once again hesitant to kind of pick up his books because they're not my favorite, but I know the stories are still really good. I've had this one for a little while though, and it's short. I did start this one, but I ended up softy and effing it. The Devil in the White City by Eric Larson. This is a nonfiction based off like true crime that happened in Chicago in 1893 about a serial killer who used the fair to lure their victims to their death. So I think that's really interesting. I got this when I was in Indiana doing the Little Free Libraries, I think is what they're called, and I found this one. I was like, you know what, that looks interesting. And then the final one that I have is Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. Once again, this was one that was super popular on Book Talk. I think it's like a split of people liking it and not liking it. I started it and then I softy and effed it years ago because I think this is a hard book to like get into reading with, and that was where I was at that point. I just didn't really follow along with it and pick up to the story very well, so I just put it down for now. I knew I'd come back to it eventually, but this is one that I'm on the fence about too because I've seen people say like it's crushed them, made them so sad, and then others are like, this book sucks. Let me know if you read this. Let me know what your thoughts are and if I should read this. I probably will. I have FOMO with reading occasionally, and this is one that I would have FOMO with because I want to read it, maybe. The next genre that I have is like mystery thriller, Stephen King, Insomnia. I've had this one on my bookshelf since high school, freshman year. My dad actually recommended me this one, and he said he really enjoyed it when he read it way in the past. The next 2 books I bought at Meijer. It's a grocery store in the Midwest. They would always have these like $5 books, and I was like, you know what, that's a great excuse to buy a book. It's a Tenet. I thought the cover looked interesting. It's like a murder mystery. Please See Us by Caitlin Mullen. This one sounds more interesting to me. It's like a girl goes missing and then someone else dies, and their cases could kind of help solve the other. The setting or like the atmosphere of this book sounds very interesting to me from the times that I've read this, like inside cover of like what it's about. And then the final one I have, this is like a mix of books. My mom bought me I believe it's a trilogy. It might be a series now because they kept coming out with books as more seasons were getting made on Netflix. This is You Love Me, You, Hidden Bodies, and Providence. So I think there's 4 books in this. I think this is the last one or like the 3rd one of these. I also have all of these books that are wrapped up. I think it's like Malibu Rising, Hidden Bodies, and then I have You in there. And then I have another one. I can't remember what other one is in these because originally, if you guys have been on my channel for a while, I've mentioned that my mom wrapped these so I could do like a blind date with books, and I never have gotten around to it in the 2 years that I asked her to do this. So they've just been sitting here. So these count. There's 4 books here that I have yet to read, but I know You and Hidden Bodies is somewhere in here. So that's the last of my mystery slash thrillers. So the next genre that we'll be talking about is fantasy books. I feel like this is like a modern fantasy, maybe, or like a dystopian. I can't remember what this is categorized as. This is One for My Enemy by Olive Blake. Kind of follows the basis of Romeo and Juliet, where it's 2 families in Manhattan. I want to say they're like vampires. Let me know if you've read this. I am very curious about this one. How Does It Feel by Janine O'Reilly. Once again, the hype on TikTok got to me. I ordered this immediately because they were changing the covers, and I'm probably too late to get the cover for the second one that matches this, but I just hated the new covers, and I thought this was so creative. Like, what a fun cover. It's the Infatuated Fae series. I don't know how many books have come out since. I know there's like a second one that the cover's orange. I don't know about what other books have come out. A human falls into the Fae world, and the Fae thinks that the human's trying to kill him, and so he holds her prisoner, I believe. That's like the loose knowledge that I have of this one. Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. I really want to get around to the series. This one's on my 25 for 2025. However, I do know the Caraval series takes place before this, so I might have to swap this book out for Caraval because Caraval gives the background information for this trilogy, and I would rather read it in that order because I actually found a TikTok video of a girl explaining the exact order of how you should read these, and I want to follow that. Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig. This is the second book to the Shepherd King duology. I read the first one, which is One Dark Window, and I absolutely love that book. It was like the right book, right time. The music that I had, the playlist was just spectacular. I love the characters in this. I love the storyline. It was like a dark gothic fantasy. I loved it. So I started the second book on my Kindle, Softy, and it in like the beginning of the year, like April time, and I just haven't gotten around to it, and I recently bought this one in my fall video too. Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. This one is another duology, I believe. The second one's Crooked Kingdom. I'm pretty sure below this Target sticker it's a Netflix show as well. I want to read this and then watch the Netflix show. Then the next like big fantasy series that I recently bought in my Prep For Me with Fall video. If you guys watched that one, you saw I did buy the rest Throne of Glass series. I had the first book. In the order that I'm reading it is Throne of Glass. After I finished that one, I had to buy the rest of them just to have them ready for whenever I was ready to continue on with the series. Also because Target was having a great sale. Just to quickly go through these, the order that I will be reading them in is Throne of Glass, and then I will read Crown of Midnight and The Assassin's Blade. Usually people read this one first or 3rd or 4th because Throne of Glass was on my 25 for 2025. I picked it, and that's what prompted me to start this series. Obviously it's up to the reader and what they want to do, but a lot of people have said they read this one 3rd before Heir of Fire because it has like more of an emotional impact. And I think my reasoning too for personally wanting to read Throne of Glass before this one, because this is like a collection of novellas if you did not know, and it gives very good background information for our main character Selena. Personally, for me as a reader, I think I would have enjoyed it less if I read The Assassin's Blade first and then Throne of Glass, because I like going into books where I don't really know all the information and I learn about it as the series goes on, because that makes me more interested in wanting to read the series. Obviously there is information in here about Selena that I'm like, we didn't learn about that, like when are we gonna learn about that? And maybe if I read this I would have known. Once you start a series and your interest is piqued and then you continue to read the rest of the books, I feel like you gain more of an attachment, and then learning background information about them is more interesting to me than starting with that, because I feel like it spoils who these characters are and you get to learn about them, and then maybe this would reveal their true character. That's just like my mentality behind it. After The Assassin's Blade, I would then read Heir of Fire. Then I will read Queen of Shadows, and then I will tandem read. I'm gonna do the tandem read of Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn. And then the final book, which is Kingdom of Ash. Look at this one, this is insane. I am very excited to continue on with this series. I honestly feel like this has kind of put me in a slump reading Throne of Glass because I want to take my time with it. And I know everyone says that to everyone, like, take your time with reading Throne of Glass because once it's over, you're never gonna get to read it again for the first time. I'm gonna slowly get through the series, but I will make reading vlogs for the books when I read them. And then the final genre that I want to talk about is all of my dystopian books. I don't have many. The first one is Sunrise on the Reaping by Susan Collins. This is Hamish's book. I read Ballad of the Songbirds and Snakes or something like that. That's President Snow's book. And that one took me a while. It wasn't my favorite book. I obviously love The Hunger Games. I grew up on the Hunger Games trilogy. By far one of my favorite dystopian books or like series. The movies were like my absolute absolute favorite, and then I read the books and I just loved it even more. When she came out with President Snow's book, I was like, it's okay, it's kind of long. The ending was really cool, but I thought the beginning was really slow. Movie came out, obsessed with it, loved it. And then this one came out. I bought this cover and version in Australia, so it's definitely like a bigger size compared to the other ones, but I really want to get around to reading this. I've heard Haymitch's story is very emotional and sad and just great. I'm also very excited for the movie, so I want to read that before the movie comes out. And then another like OG dystopian series is the Divergent trilogy. I had these books on my shelf since I was younger when I like really wanted to be a reader but just didn't really have the motivation to. Divergent by Veronica Roth, Insurgent, which is the second book, Allegiant, which is the third. I definitely plan to get around to these by the end of the year. Hopefully I want to do my Who Did It Better book or movies and read this. Hopefully that will motivate me. I don't know how long these will take me to read because obviously they're pretty thick, but this is another like dystopian series or trilogy that I loved growing up. Divergent and Hunger Games. I do want to read Maze Runner, but I really want to try and get through all the books that I have here on my TBR before I start anything else. I also want to try and go on like a book ban. I need to do that unless it's for a series. So those are all the books that I have on my physical TBR. I did not count them while I was doing that, so I'm gonna go through and count them real quick and then I'll let you guys know. I probably will have a number count on the screen so you guys will already know before I do. I didn't think the number would be that high, but I have 56 books on my physical TBR. Those are all my books on my physical TBR. Crazy amount, probably not as bad as other people, maybe higher than some people, but that's okay. Definitely want to get around to all of these as one would with their TBR. Please let me know in the comments if you guys have read any of these books that I've mentioned, what ones are your favorites, which ones you dislike, maybe try and like influence and like de-influence me, because some of these books I have had on my bookshelf for a while. I just don't have the heart to like get rid of them or unhaul them because I might want to read them in the future. So, but I'm very excited to read these and try and incorporate these into videos and challenges and stuff. That is all for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing everything on my physical TBR, and I'll see you guys all in my next video. Bye.